Hey guys, how's it going? Happy Saturday. And I'm here in Indiana with my friend Marksman TV. How's it going, man?
Hey man, how you doing? Thanks for coming on and coming out to the store. And we actually just filmed a weekly used gun review video, which I am super excited about. It's going to be a little bit on the long side, but that should be going up on my channel probably tomorrow. So, and now I'm excited to be here on your stream. I've always been a viewer of your streams, and I'm happy to be joining you on here.
Thanks, man. And likewise, I've been watching your videos for a long time, and I'm like, this seems like a nice guy. I'd like to meet him someday, And
here we are.
And I don't think anyone that's watching is surprised that the video that I was on is going to be one of the longer ones because, that's kind of what I do. Right?
Well, we've got two people's opinions now instead of just mine. So whether that's better or worse, who knows? But I'm excited about it. I think it'll turn out pretty cool.
So here's what I need all of you to do. This is for your own good because it's going to be a good video. Make sure you go down in my description. If you somehow don't know who Marksman TV is, make sure you sub to his channel and you'll see both of us hanging out in this upcoming video. And I think you'll really enjoy all of his stuff going forward too. So definitely go over there. And here's what we're doing, guys. We're literally looking at the chat right now. You guys can kind of guide the conversation. Any questions that you would want to ask me, ask him, have both of us opine on, just go for it. We'll answer as much as we can and probably hang out for about an hour tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, here's something I was kind of wondering. What's up, Josh Benware? How you doing, man? We got Jason Ewing. What's up? Steve Adams. He's already a sub. So
nice. Thank you.
Look at all these good people in here.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing I noticed, guys. Shout out to all the Michigan guys, of course, but Indiana people, this is actually a really beautiful state. I was driving through about 4 hours of cornfields and
sounds about like Indiana, yeah.
I felt right at home, though. It reminds me of like Western Michigan, to be honest. So that's pretty cool. Do you see any Indiana people in here? If you're from Indiana, say hi. But I think we've got them outnumbered from Michigan, don't we?
Yeah, probably. That's okay.
But I always do that, especially these Texas guys. They're the worst. What's going on, guys? How's it going? So while you guys get a couple questions going, here's actually a question that I had for you. See, here's the thing. Guns have been like in probably the biggest shortage, if not bigger than Sandy Hook. Is that about right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And are they still getting more rare or are they starting to come back in? What do you think?
So if we're looking at both the used and the new market, looking at the new market first, as that's a little bit more predictable. Through my suppliers, and I've talked about this on my channel a little bit in my most recent video, I am undoubtedly getting a lot more supply from my wholesalers. Okay, that's us as a small gun shop. That's how I'm getting a bulk of my new firearm supply is from the wholesalers. We do not get that stuff directly from the manufacturer. So the manufacturers produce the firearms, they send them on to the wholesalers, and then the wholesalers have sales reps, and those sales reps get an allocation of the different products that are coming in to that wholesaler. And then those reps have to decide who they're going to divvy up those firearms to. And they have a lot of sway in who they're going to give their preferences to. So those sales reps do work on commission. And they are going to treat the dealers that have done more business with them in the past a little bit better on allocations. And this has always been true even when supply is normal. I was getting, so basically backing up a little bit, typically how we go about getting our inventory is we will log on to a wholesaler's website. And we can browse their catalogs, whether it's SIGs or Glocks or Rugers. We can take things, put it in our shopping cart, check out, just like you guys do when you go to like grab a gun or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then it gets delivered to our store a couple of days later. Now, over the past year, and again, we've come about full circle on this. So this all started back in March of 2020. So we're here at about a whole year now. I have not been able to log in and get inventory. So what I've been relying on is my sales rep, my different sales reps at the different wholesalers to call me up about once a week, maybe even once every 2 weeks with a very short list of things they have in. And typically allocated items are high demand stuff like SIG 365s or a new Hellcat or the new Toro or things like that. Allocation lists for us have been things as like Ruger LCP first gens and Glock 19s and stuff that it's typically always out there on the market. Wow. So that's the allocated items we're getting. When it comes to like Ruger 57s and Hellcat OSPs and stuff like that, like forget about it. You know, we're not going to see that stuff very often. We might get one of those on an allocation once every 3 months. Now, my allocation phone calls are picking back up. So we're getting like maybe 2 to 3 a week now, every week instead of maybe 1 or 2 every other week. and the lists are getting longer. So we're not really out of the woods yet in terms of our ability to restock with new inventory, but it is undoubtedly getting better. And I think if this continues at least over the next year, hopefully we'll be in a position where we're getting back to that point where we can just log on to the websites and start ordering stuff. That's when your gun stores are going to start getting stuff back on the shelves pretty regularly. And I think that that's going to start happening probably about the time that, you know, people stop buying everything they see that comes into a gun store, and the purchasing slows down. That's where it has to happen first. Not saying don't buy something if you want it, obviously.
Right.
But it'll be the same with ammunition. You know, getting into ammunition is still pretty bad. I mean, we're hardly getting anything, and I'm not seeing much changing in that regard. My supply on ammo is getting a little bit better, but it's still way far away from where it used to be and where it needs to be.
Well, there you guys go, and I'm here. You know, I've seen the back room, and of course, you guys all know Chris is a trustworthy guy. But I think probably most of your local gun shop owners are, to be honest. I don't think everyone's literally like selling the guns out the back alley, right?
No, that's true. Yeah, I mean, we obviously have to keep inventory going through our stores. I mean, this is my livelihood. Every gun store owner, this is their livelihood. So they're not. I can't speak for everybody, but holding stuff back and stuff like that, because very quickly your shop goes out of business. And we're in a position where we got to sell everything that comes through, because again, we're not getting as much as we used to.
So Trina Coffee, thanks for the super chats. We've got upstate New York in the house. Says, have faith, brother. Keep getting the word out. No problem. Thanks for the encouragement. And I think this is another misconception some people have. What's happening, Josh Benware? I like this. More gun stores than guns, more real estate agents than houses, right?
That's true. Right now, unfortunately. Hey, I've had a lot of my customers come in and look around and tell me that their personal gun collection is better than my gun store inventory, which is true and has been true. So it's a little disheartening, but honestly, it is getting better. And hopefully you guys are seeing that in your local shops as well. You know, we want to keep inventory up mainly, you know, so we want new first-time buyers and stuff to come out and have stuff to actually buy. I had a couple come in here yesterday, and they wanted to look at different handguns. She was actually he travels a lot, so they wanted her to get a handgun so she has something at home. And I can only pull a few handguns out of the case to let her take a look at, and most of them were used. And, you know, I would like to be in a better position to have her go with something that feels, the best to her, because that's what she's going to do the best with if she has to use it to defend herself. Being in a position as a gun store, you know, my hands are a little bit tied. It's kind of like, do you want gun A or gun B? That's it. I don't have anything else for you other than, hey, go shop around a little bit. Maybe you find something at another competing gun store, something that's a little bit better, which I do honestly tell my customers to do if they're waffling a little bit on what I have. I don't want to force somebody to get something that they're not confident with, or to just go online. You know, we're doing a lot of transfers too. And that's really over the past year what a lot of our business has been. Our used gun intake is really picking up. A lot of you guys know we have the website. I'm not going to plug it here. But we've been getting a lot through that, but also locals. You know, last year we had about 10 million new first-time buyers. I don't know how many background checks were done, so a lot of guns were undoubtedly sold. Starting to see some of that stuff come back on the market as well.
Well, we do have Indiana in the house.
There you go.
We've got Josh and Green from Indiana.
Hey, good to see you.
Well, I appreciate anybody.
Thank you, man. Yeah. Awesome. Right on, man. I appreciate that.
Any of Chris's friends who are hanging out here, that's totally awesome. Hopefully you guys like the videos I do.
Stay here on this channel. Hang out. He's got some good stuff.
And if you don't, hey, make sure you watch me over on his channel next week, guys, right?
Yep. That video will be coming out, I think, probably tomorrow. I'm going to go home tonight and edit because I'm kind of a maniac when it comes to getting stuff done. So we'll try and get that video up tomorrow.
What's happening, Pez? Who? Long Island, New York. See, good people all over the country.
Yeah.
That's why there's still some hope and encouragement. There really is.
These are my people.
Oh, yeah. Linda Wiki, not to be confused with Susan Wiki. They're not related.
Is that Susan's evil stepsister?
I can prove this is Susan's more attractive stepsister, but
she's had a CPL for 8 years, so she can't be related.
Oh yeah. So actually, that's pretty cool. So he has a program, and I was trying to kind of describe it to you guys one time on one of my streams, and it's called what? We Buy Guns. Is that the name?
Yeah, We Buy Guns. Yeah.
And I don't know how much. Can we talk about this as far as Susan's concerned?
It's your channel. I don't know. I probably wouldn't risk it.
So here's what I'm going to do, guys. It's an interesting concept. And let's just say this, okay? We're not buying anything, Susan Wiki here today, right now.
We're not buying or selling. We're just here to hang out.
This is just entertainment purposes. However, I put a community post up on my channel when you did that vlog, and I would like some of the people to check out what you're doing, because there's some people right now that are the opposite, right? So there's some people that they can't get a gun at all and they've got the cash. Now there's other people who don't have any cash because they lost their job, but they've got extra guns. And I think Chris has a really fair program going that could help some of you guys out with that, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah,
right?
we will make an offer, and you know, it's important, and this is built into the program, that if you get an offer, you print off the offer we give you and shop it around. Try and make sure you're getting the best deal. There are some things that do not sell that well around here that I might not be as competitive on as other people. So I always recommend you shop that and get the best deal you possibly can. So use it really as a guideline for getting yourself a price. Now, keep in mind, these are not market prices. I'm not telling you what it's worth. I'm making you an offer as a business that has to resell it and make money. And, you know, of course, so obviously you're going to do better on the private market. That goes without saying. But if you are the type of person who only wants to deal with an FFL, or you don't want to have to deal with the hassle of finding a buyer, maybe you don't have a friend or family member that wants to buy it, that's just what the service offers. And it's been going very well. We've been up for about a month and bought about 140 guns from people, which blows my mind. So it's really, really cool. Yeah,
and I saw a small stack of them when we were doing the weekly used gun review video a few minutes ago, and some nice stuff.
Yeah, and I'm hoping even if we bought 140, I've gotten about 500, maybe 400 offer requests. So hopefully, and I would like to have some people tell me maybe on my channel or here, if my offer and the certificate got you a better deal locally. That would be really, really cool to know. So
that's what I like.
I never will see if that happens because I'm not involved in that, but that would be cool if you were able to at least get a better deal somewhere else.
Yeah, so Max Shot 62, thanks again, man. This is the shirt that he gave me a while ago, and I want you guys to take a quick look at that.
Right on, man.
I thought it was a message I could
Trust
definitely.
God, love your country. Work hard.
Yeah, work hard, and that all applies to me.
That's it.
So I just wanted to thank you for that, and you're awesome, dude. I saw somebody that was asking, who's the dude on the left? Okay, looks familiar. Well, this is Marksman TV. We're here at his shop, Marksman Shooting Sports in Indiana. The link for his channel is down in the description, and it's one of my favorite channels, guys. So definitely go check him out.
And I think I saw a comment from you recently on my channel, so I think he knows who I am.
So he's just joking.
He's pulling your leg.
I know him. He's pulling.
You got psych.
So for the one person that didn't know, I guess I just right.
There's, I'm sure, more than one.
Oh yeah, where can you get the shirt? Actually, I know you, and I'll let you know. I happen to see. I know people. I know people like the gentleman that gave me the shirt, and I'm very highly sponsored by my viewers. My llama, the tank the llama rides in.
I wish you had brought that llama.
I should have.
I would have liked to have met that llama.
Here's the problem, man. I'm like 4 hours plus from my shop, and that's my shop security.
He drove all the way out here, 4.5 hours, just to see my tiny little gun store.
Well, to meet you mainly, and I don't know.
I guess there's that. And we did a really cool video. I'm excited for you guys to see. It was actually a lot of fun having another person's opinion and to go through guns that somebody else could educate me on a little bit. So that's awesome. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah. Shojas, I agree with you. He said that's a great person when they'd like you to see if you got a better offer.
Well, that's the whole concept. I mean, yeah, I won't keep going on about it, but again, it's a community thing as well as, again, I am a business and everybody knows that.
Yeah.
But if a deal can't be made with me, at least I don't want the time people spend on my site to be worthless. Hopefully they can leverage themselves something better. So.
Exactly. Thanks, Mr. C, for the donation. I appreciate it, man. That's nice of you. So, yeah, that's kind of like there's all kinds of things, and to each his own, but there's like the pawn shop and there's this and that. And I just thought this was kind of cool because you're truly a gun guy. And if somebody's like, well, I have this old World War II German pistol, you're not just going to say, here, $100.
No.
No. And I saw the stuff that you brought in, and we can't tell them too much. So you're going to have to watch the video.
A lot of it's in the video. And a lot of the guns came in from the site. So some of you, if you recently sold me something, you'll probably see those and seeing us drooling over them. So again, thanks for that. I'm glad to get that in there.
I do have Mr. Elvis, Mr. Potato Head. Yes. Yes, ma'am.
You didn't bring any of the squad with you, did you? The better squad, we'll call them that.
No, I brought like 4 really cool guns, but I didn't bring any of my.
I was really more interested in Mr. Potato Head and the Llama, but no, I love the guns that he brought. They're super cool. I'm excited for you guys to see them.
Oh, yeah, and I thought that was cool. We shared it in the video. We're not going to tell you what gun it is here right now, but like the gun that kind of made him aware of my channel, that he found my channel from, we reviewed it together today.
Yeah, so I saw this. When did you do that video? About 2 years ago?
Two-ish, yeah.
Yeah, something that came out of the market. I was curious about. I looked it up on YouTube, like we all do.
Mm-hmm.
I saw this guy, reviewing it, and I stayed and I watched, and here we are. And
Yeah.
I got to handle the gun today, so that's really cool.
Oh yeah, it is nice. Angel Valley, you guys should team up and do a weekly show. If I hit the big time and get my own private chopper, maybe. But until then. Probably not every week, but we could do it remotely. So
we can do remotely streams.
That is a good thing, actually. Okay, Spillover Village, right? Says, what's your opinion on all the new gun owners starting from last year? How do you recommend balancing training with ammo scarcity? I can take the first half.
Go ahead.
Look, here's what I would like. We need more gun owners as possible, only to the point that we can maybe get some of them on board with the Second Amendment, because just owning guns is not enough to save our life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I mean, look, the former vice president, Sleepy Joe, whatever you guys want to call him, right? He owns guns. He owns shotguns, and they're probably more expensive than any gun any of you own, to be quite frank. So I'm very encouraged that people are taking the personal responsibility and realizing when seconds matter, police are only minutes away, right? But I think we really need to kind of just be friends and kind of teach some of these new gun owners a little bit about the reason why they're allowed to own them. And that we have the Second Amendment as long as we can keep it.
New gun owners, let's see, I'm going to read this again. How do you recommend balancing training and ammo scarcity? So the first step, and again, as a gun store owner, I saw a tremendous amount of this, was people getting into guns. And I think that they had realized that a lot of people who have, I wouldn't really say anti-gun, but we're not into the gun community, have probably looked at this as a lot of hyperbole over the, well, you need to carry a gun to defend yourself sort of thing. And I think last year made that real for a lot of people, undoubtedly, as 10 million new people enter the market. So first and foremost, that's a huge win to me, that at least the mentality of America, at least for those 10 million people, is changing, and people are taking their own protection into their own hands. Even my sister-in-law, who never was really into guns, reached out to me just the other day and said, hey, I want to get into the Second Amendment. I want to get a firearm. She's actually moving downtown. I want to, train. I want to get my concealed carry permit. And so I'm seeing a lot of that happen, and that's great. Now, the second part of your question with ammunition, that's a real difficult one. One of the things I'm seeing is people who are new to the market are, and I think that this leads into the ammo pricing changes. Like back in the 2013 shortage, pricing came up, but it wasn't nearly as crazy as it is right now. And I think the reason for that is because a lot of the first-time buyers aren't used to what the ammo and the gun pricing was prior to them entering the market. They don't know what it was like for us 2 years ago with what we were paying for 9mm and for a Glock 19. So I think a lot of them are okay paying it, but in terms of getting out to the range and training more, I think that definitely is crippling a lot of people getting out and learning how to use their firearms. There are a lot of ammo-free type of training options, like those laser targets and stuff. Nothing is really going to ever replace the benefits of actually going to a range and firing live ammunition, but at least they can use snap caps to train with drills on clearing jams, safety, trigger control, lining up your sights, your hand positioning on the firearm as well. And then hopefully, I hope as ammunition starts coming back, those people stick with it and then make it out to the range and go to those courses.
I've thought about that too. So like I said earlier, I'm hoping they become Second Amendment advocates.
That's first and foremost.
And patriots,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, what have you thought about as a shop owner? And a lot of people are kind of wondering this just as purchasers, consumers. Are all these noobs, or half of them, let's just say, a large portion of them, are they going to instantly come and sell their guns the second that, hopefully, when stuff gets back to normal, and then guns are going to be the cheapest they've ever been? Have you thought about that?
I think we as people are we're creatures of habit, and I think a lot of people who are not necessarily as part of the Second Amendment community, by definition, are not necessarily primed to try and take their own defense into their own hands, which is why you have a lot of people relying on the government intervention to make us all safer. I don't want a lot of people to revert back to that mentality. Best thing about this is people making the decision to defend themselves and taking their own personal safety into their own hands. And I hope that sticks with a lot of people. That's the number one benefit I think that this is all causing. I hope that mentality really stays. What was the second part of your question?
Oh, just wondering if, guns are going to tank in value if these people do.
If everything floods the market, yeah. I mean, obviously, if you have a huge amount of firearms flood back into the market and the supply goes up, obviously the demand will go back down as well as the pricing. So for us people, I know that there's a lot of people who have been out there, you know, kind of waiting for that sort of thing to happen so people can scoop up all these very lightly used firearms for very low prices. I think a lot of that's going to happen as stuff starts to flood back into the market. I'm already seeing used gun pricing come down. I'm on Gun Broker constantly looking up gun values, and I'm seeing stuff inch back down as stuff's coming back onto the market. So yeah, I do think a lot of those people are probably going to sell back their firearms, and I am seing some of that already.
Now, I've had this question a lot from newer gun owners, because a lot of newer gun owners watch my videos, and I'm honored by that. And they'll say, well, should I buy a gun essentially right now, or should I wait like 6 months? And here's how I answer. I say, just buy it now, because I'd rather have, you know, and not need than need and not have. But I don't know if that's exactly what they're asking me. Like, are you saying, is it a fool's bet to buy now? Because I figure if the former vice president does more crap, they could still go up too, right?
It's a question of how you value money versus protection, I guess. It's if you purchase something that's inflated in terms of price, even if a firearm ban were to happen, you buy an AR-15 and they ban quote unquote so-called assault weapons, which we know is a misnomer. But if they were to do that, likely something like a grandfather clause would come in, and then at least you have it. If nothing like that were to happen, you still have your AR or AK variant firearm. So that hasn't gone away. It's just, okay, as the market goes on, if you want to go resell it at some point, yeah, you're probably going to lose a few hundred, maybe a few $1,000s at the prices I'm seeing some of this stuff go for. But at least you still have that fundamental protection. So I wouldn't recommend taking out a second mortgage on your home or selling your car to go buy a firearm, because, you know, you're then, you know, putting yourself into a bad situation to begin with. But if you can afford a Taurus, like a G2, we talked about this. I don't want to give anything away, but if you talk about a Taurus like a G2C or a G3 or a High Point even, and that's in your budget, even if the prices are inflated, that personal protection and responsibility, I think, is paramount, and can never really put a price on it anyway.
I agree with you. It's so hard. And this is where we know you guys are all smart people. You're all adults, right? And a lot of it comes down to a personal choice. You know, you don't want to sell your house and be homeless under the bridge so you can buy your 37th gun when you had 36 before, right? But what is your life worth? Well, everything. So here's where I'm at. If you think you need one and you have none, you should probably hurry up and get one, right?
Yeah. I mean, if it's in the budget, even though you're paying too much for it right now, then you will. Having one on, obviously, I would recommend getting.
If your heart's in the fight, you're in the good fight, you want to protect yourself, you have to have one. That's the no-brainer. Where you want to go from there, well, that depends how successful you are in life, right?
Right. But at least one, yeah.
Philly Patriot, he's saying that being a Pro 2A guy in the big city of Philly is difficult, but I probably support no matter what my local reps, and his local reps know him for sure. That's another topic. Do you ever think about that? These people that no matter how they vote, they just know it's going to be Democrats no matter what. It's got to be tough to keep encouraged to keep just fighting and contacting your reps constantly, you know?
Whether you want to say fortunately or unfortunately, we as Americans, you know, have I guess you call it a republic, but we vote in the majority in most cases. I mean, I know that let me backtrack. If there is a certain demographic that's going to keep continuing to vote in those certain politicians, and that's just the reality of the country we live in, and that's a good thing. I mean, that we the people can elect our officials, whether that's debatable of how much we think that that's been damaged over the past decades and centuries, but and how much that's been eroded. But that's really the realistic outcome of what it is. So you can really only adapt to those situations either by moving, and I hate telling people to uproot their families to get to a gun-friendly place, or try and do things to change the politics within, you know, getting more involved locally and things like that, which I know is a mountain to climb. I'm not going to just be flippant about that, but if enough people do it, it will make a change. And we've seen it happen before. There are previously blue districts that have turned red, and unfortunately red districts that have turned blue. And so
Michigan's gone back and forth just in the last, 2 elections or whatever you guys call it last fall.
I would say it's probably better to stay and fight. And I mean that in a legal sense, rather than just, kind of duck out of there, because then it'll just never change.
It is nice to see someone like that, though, that's living in a big city. Yeah. It is what it is.
Having to put up with it.
But they're fighting just as hard as the rest of us.
And they're fighting harder, I think, because they have to climb that hill.
No, I agree. Harder. Yeah. You're right. Ting Ting saying nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you. I heard about you on the last stream.
Yeah, she's really smart.
That's what I heard.
Here. We've got A-Dubs. How do you see the firearm business and community changing if the ATF is successful in changing what part or section of the firearm is the firearm?
So the firearm community changing. The firearm community is going to become a lot more emboldened as they continue to attack and erode rights, I think. Look, if you back an animal into a corner enough, that animal is going to fight you back. And again, I don't mean that literally in a violent sense. I mean that people will get to a point where enough is enough. And the further I think they're trying to find out where that pressure point is.
Yeah.
I don't know if we found it yet or not, but clearly I'm on YouTube, 2AEDU's on YouTube, and I see how pissed off. I'm getting pissed off a lot too. Yeah. As this continues to go on, I think that I think there will be a stopping point to some of it. And again, I don't know what that's going to look like. And I don't mean violently. I'd never advocate for this.
Defensively, Susan Wiki.
Defensively, very defensively, just kind of like quit backing us into a corner here. We've kind of had enough. But I think the gun community is going to become more aggravated as it continues. And there will be a stopping point.
And when we've had enough, some of those things in life, you just kind of know it when you see it. But just be ready. Whatever that means for you, be ready. Glycogen cycling, been subbed to Marksman TV for a while. Question, there's been talk of executive order on gun control coming up. What do you speculate it will consist of?
That
I have some guesses.
I want to hear your thoughts. You go ahead and say this.
Braces are the most likely.
Yeah.
I'm say almost for sure.
Yeah, I'm afraid of that too.
Reclassifying receivers to probably, by the time it's said and done, make it where it's not just the upper getting serialized instead of the lower. Probably all of our ARs very soon will be match sets, in my opinion. And it's going to really mess with you trying to play Legos with your AR.
I think the braces are the worst. I think that's honestly, when it comes to legislation, I think the thing that probably has the best chance of passing is going to be universal background checks. I think that's the lowest hanging fruit here. Yeah. And something where actually in the House they already had. How many Republicans did they get on that?
I think 8 or 9 went over to the
nine went over,
yeah.
And yeah.
For HR 8.
And
one Dem voted against it. So,
yeah, it's going the Senate. I don't know. Will it be upheld in the Supreme Court? I don't know.
It's all about the filibuster. You know what's interesting,
that's true.
Guys?
The filibuster, and as long as that's kept, they need 65 votes.
They'll need they'll need 2/3 majority, so they'll need over 60 votes.
Over 60 votes. Okay, so yeah.
You want to hear something interesting that I was reading on the way here? I don't read and drive, guys, but if I were to read and drive, I read this on the way here. So Joe Manchin's one of the last holdouts, the Democrat senator from West Virginia, and he's saying he will not let them end the filibuster no matter what, right? And a lot of people are saying this is going to rest on Joe Manchin's shoulders and possibly Kristen Sinema. You know what the Biden administration just did? They just nominated Joe Manchin's wife to now serve on a committee, an appointed position within the executive branch. So the one senator that's trying to stop Biden with his gun control, they appointed his wife in a lower level cabinet position. So things got really interesting politically, really quick with the Joe Manchin family.
It's all a mess, undoubtedly. It's all a mess. I just want to wake up in 2 years to go by. But
now, America the Free, I appreciate your super chat. I can't quite read it because YouTube has a policy that all of the elections were the most fair elections that you've ever seen.
They were absolutely fair in all ways possible.
But I would encourage the readers to read that, okay? And thank you for the super chat. But as nice as your intentions are, Susan would probably end this stream if I actually read that, to be honest with you, which sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Rob Petak, 545. So this is an AK-74 guy, and I like this guy because of that. How likely are the manufacturers to bend the knee and conform to some of the legislation? Oh, they stand to lose a lot if so. That's always interesting.
I think here's the problem. They will have to conform at face value because if not, they'll be shut down. And there's really no corporation in any capacity that's going to flagrantly violate the law. Okay, because that's not really the best way to do it. What they will do right away, though, is they are all going to file lawsuits, and at least some of those will make it to the Supreme Court. I mean, and I've even considered this. I, as a retailer, if any legislation comes that drastically hurts my business. Mm-hmm. I'm not just going to say, okay, I'm going to close my doors, the 7 years of my time I put into this and the tremendous amount of money I put into this. I'm just going to say, okay, I'm probably going to file a lawsuit as well. And I think a lot of people will, hoping that something gets through to the Supreme Court and it gets overturned. But no, I don't think people are just going to ignore it because they'll be shut down by the ATF right away if they do.
Now, here's something adjacent to that, though, that he didn't ask, but people might be thinking about. Now, yes, they have to conform on its face or they'll just get shut down and possibly go to prison. But I've seen companies in the past where, like Bill Ruger at that time, let's face it, actually got with the gun control senators and said, well, we'll agree to all this gun control if you don't go after the rest. Do you see that happening this time around?
Smith and Wesson did the same thing. I mean, everybody has at some point, or Springfield recently in Illinois did something similar with the carve out there. That was just like 3 years ago.
So is that going to happen in 2021 or 2022?
Honestly, when it comes to businesses, if we start, if things start drastically affecting their bottom line, then I think that's when they'll stand up and put their foot down. But like we saw with the 1994 AWB, the assault weapons ban, there were certain restrictions put on features of the firearms, and the manufacturers just built those without those features, which were essentially the same thing, like the ban era ARs without the bayonet lug and the threaded muzzle. So they didn't fight the legislation; they adapted to it, but the adaptation saved their bottom line. And I think that's what they will do if it can be done first. But if the other alternative is, hey, we're going to have to fold and go out of business because if we're Magpul and they ban 30-round capacity mags. Well, Magpul's already starting to differentiate themselves by creating handguards and stocks and bipods and even 10-round mags. But a company that's like we get with the bump stocks and the companies that's really their sole product line. And I don't know, did they file lawsuits on that? I think they did through the GOA. I think that they did.
They did, and actually the Sixth Circuit, by the way. So that's Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, Tennessee. Bump stocks are completely legal. Now, I'm not an attorney. Look it up for yourself. Bump stocks are legal in the Sixth Circuit. Now, for all of the millions of dollars worth of inventory that was shredded by the ATF, that's going to be a totally different lawsuit to compensating. Now, here's something I've noticed that's a lot different now, though. 94 to 04, that first AWB. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have our Twitter and Instagram.
That's right, yeah.
And these guys are all sounding off in the chat, as they should. We're not going to cut any of these manufacturers any slack. If any of these manufacturers even try to be FUDs this time around, the internet's literally going to tear them apart.
And that's the thing about the market, and we see this all the time, is the gun market is very boisterous when it comes to these sorts of things. And so if the gun market sees gun manufacturers doing things the gun market doesn't like, the gun market will respond by putting them out of business by way of not supporting their products. We've seen this happen so many times. There was a big boycott again on Springfield after. Now, they never went out of business. But if there were things that were really, really bad, and even the Colt stopping manufacturing on the AR-15, a lot of people, and I don't really agree. I don't think that what they were doing was a anti-Second Amendment thing, and some people would disagree with me. I think it was a business decision because at the time the AR market was saturated with ARs, and they had just gotten a government contract. So I think they made the decision to put all their eggs in the government contract basket, and now they've started making ARs again now that the market's hot. So again, I don't think it was a political stance, but that's just my opinion. But people will vote with their dollars, and again, if companies do not stand up against certain things, people will just not buy their products. We've seen that happen over and over and over again.
Yeah, exactly. I just hope that they're literally willing to take some of, I think this is a little bit fair. Obviously if people are giving their hard-earned money to a business, the business needs to make profit for their employees, the business owner.
That's why they're there,
But if they're doing very well in business and they're making an extraordinary amount of money, businesses donate to different causes, and they sure better be donating to all the lawsuits and the GOA and all this is within the industry.
Yeah, some of them, unfortunately, have been donating to the other side, and I don't understand that.
It's literally insane.
So it's not like they're saying, hey, we don't have the money to donate. It's like the donations are obviously happening, and that was the whole carve-out issue with Springfield. And I don't want to keep bringing that up, but I did a video on that years ago when it happened.
That's a tough one, and I love HS product, and I love the HS 2000, and if somebody different would start importing them dang things, I'd be really happy, but that's a whole other topic, right? Someone's telling me that Taurus just released barrels on their website for the G2C for $60.
Nice.
Now, why did I say that out loud? You guys are going to go buy them all, and I'm
not anymore. They're out of stock.
Will you save one for me, please? And if one of you is buying all of them, buy one for me and let me buy one off of you. But don't double the price on me now. Max Shot 62. He's asking me my opinion. Okay, but you probably know more about this than me because I don't keep up with Colt a lot. He says, what's the opinion about CZ buying Colt? I don't know. See, I'm a lot happier. See, let's give you an analogy. When Freedom Group bought companies like Remington and Marlin, that was terrible because, in my opinion, Freedom Group was not the best company and the quality sucked. This, I'm hoping, is a little better because CZ is a more quality company buying one of our American brands. What do you think?
I think Colt over the past, when did they file for bankruptcy? Well, not the first time, but was it 2014? There was a time when we started to see a degradation in the quality, and I think it was about 2014. I'd have to look it up.
We did.
They really just became a branding house, in my opinion. It was a trademark. It was a paid for brand, and we had a lot of their other products. I think mainly their AR-15s. I don't know about their 1911s, but were actually manufactured by outside sources and then branded with the Colt brand. Was there a difference in the quality? Yes. To give a shout out to another channel, Chris Bartocci at Small Arm Solutions, he's talked about this ad nauseum, how the Colt brand has really changed over the years.
Yes.
I think it could be refreshing. CZ is a very good brand. They have the Dan Wesson brand now. They make really good, high quality stuff. I've always really liked CZ. They have really tried to keep up with the quality of their products. So maybe with CZ being in charge of that brand, things will change. And I think the same goes with Marlin and Ruger.
Ruger
with the Browning thing. And again, we saw the same thing when Browning took over Bushmaster and Marlin. It was the quality went downhill, which ultimately was partly what led to their demise, I think. Having other companies like Ruger and like CZ take up some of these brands, I think hopefully is a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Jeff Fox, you're right. And some current states only allow a 10 round magazine right now, essentially. So, yeah. You know, here's what I've been telling you guys for a while now. Dianne Feinstein put up her AWB again in the Senate. Will it pass? I hope not. It's possible, though. It is. I haven't seen mags really jacked up in price for the most part. I'd buy some mags right now.
Yeah, I mean, I have them right there marked at $12, $11, something like that, AR mags. So
yeah,
they're
exactly.
I've heard of some places getting upwards of 20 or something, but I haven't changed them at all since this all started.
Yeah,
I haven't seen a big buy on them. I really haven't.
How's it going, Reptile guys? What's happening, man? We got Chuck R. What's going on? Jeff Fox, Chad Davis, how you doing? He says, would the government consider classifying a linear plasma induction cannon as a firearm?
They better not, because I actually have a couple guys building one of those for me.
And it doesn't meet the legal definition.
No,
right now.
It's coming FFL free, which is nice. So I get to not charge myself a transfer fee.
And you know what's interesting, though, is according to experts, the AR-15 doesn't actually meet the definition of a firearm either, as according to
something about the upper and the lower. Yeah, I heard about that too.
We're gonna see what happens. I think
that's the guy from the ATF. What was his name?
Dan O'Kelly.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
Yeah.
And I've been watching a lot of his stuff lately, and it's kind of crazy. But you know what happens when there's any conflict with the ATF? They never just back off and say, "Okay, you guys got us." They always double down, and then usually they try to make it more strict, don't they?
Yeah, they're a bureaucracy.
They are. All right, what else are we looking here? They're talking about stuff getting caught up in Senate committees. Yeah. Mateo says Colt was so poorly mismanaged. CZ buying them is a good thing, especially considering CZ was one of the Army modular handgun submissions.
Yep, I agree. I think good things are going to come from it, and I'm pretty excited to see the quality, and I think it'll be good. Again, they do the Dan Wesson 1911s, which are great. So
yeah.
I wonder how that'll and CZ has their own line of them too.
Well, and it's interesting because we were talking earlier in the video about Americana, and certainly Colt is Americana, so is Remington. And it's sad, but these are just literally trademarks at this point, and they're ghosts of something in the past, right?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, a Colt today is not a Colt from the 70s. It just isn't. Manufacturing standards have changed as well, but these companies have been poorly managed. I think Colt had a lot of their interest in military contracts, and they lost a lot of that to FN around 2016. I think that really hurt them. And they never innovated. I mean, Colt would never come out with new products. They came out with things like a retro M16A1, which they didn't even really make for $2,000. Like that's what they thought the market wanted. So they were just so poorly, leveled with the market in terms of what they thought customers would want as new products. SIG and Ruger are probably, in my opinion, and to a lesser extent Springfield, but SIG is always coming out with new stuff constantly, and so is Ruger. And as a gun store owner, that's the stuff people want. I mean, that's the stuff I get calls about constantly. When the 365 hit the market, it was almost annoying coming to work. I don't mean that in a real way, but it was
yeah.
it was overwhelming the amount of interest they had in that gun, and that people were calling me constantly. You have the 365. You have the 365. It didn't help that they had to recall it for a year right after they launched it, which was unfortunate for them. But those new products coming out, that's what keeps people invigorated about those brands. And I hope that under new management, Colt will see new Colt products like that, you know, even the kind of CZ products with the Colt brand. But I don't know how much insight they'll have from their engineers and stuff. And I know a lot of them have had hands tied by management and the brass at these companies who direct them to design and build certain things. And hopefully with a more innovative, forward-thinking company like CZ is, that'll change. So we'll see.
And Taurus is totally kicking butt too.
They are. Taurus has really come out of left field with some stuff.
Especially moving to Georgia. It even got moved up to the next level.
Yeah, they are really coming out with some cool stuff. And Taurus has always been known as kind of a cheap entry level brand, but they're able to keep their pricing about where it is, but their quality has really come up over the past few years. And I had some problems early on with Taurus products.
Yeah.
You could watch some of my early videos. I really was not a fan, but there are more modern products coming out now. And the G series line, the G2s, the G3s, they hit a home run with that.
As soon as they started taking the stupid locks off all their guns, they got better, right?
Yeah.
Shojas, you already know what I'm going to say, but I want everyone to hear this. He says, so I guess the former vice president just told the news yesterday about a possible ban on imports via executive order.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah, and I did hear about that. So get those imports while you can, and that's very wise advice, guys. Back to what we said earlier, no mortgaging the house and don't be homeless. Like, take care of your kids. But short of that, yeah.
If there's something you've been keeping your eye on, and it's not uber outrageous and it doesn't put you in a bad financial situation, it's better to get it and hope for not legislation than to not get it. And then legislation happens. And then, because if that happens, imports that are here in the country are going to triple. I mean, they're going to go way up. And unfortunately, I mean, look at the old Norinco and Polytex. I mean, $3,000, $4,000 AKs, guys.
That were like $300 or $400.
Yeah, $300-$400.
Now here's an example that I just saw yesterday, and I can't promote these sites just because of Susan Wiki. However, the Walther 10, I saw one for $9.99. Okay, now that kind of sucks. However, it's a very well-liked AK. I have a few that I trust with my life. Like literally, my go-to AK at my shop and at my house are both Walther 1063s. I like them. This is an import. Made in Cougar, Romania, cold hammer forged, chrome line barrel.
One of the last true imported AKs.
Yes, and they've been making them since the PM63 in the early 60s.
They make those things to go to war.
Yes, and it's basically the same gun, minus the receiver dimpling. The little things are different, right? And of course, it's semi-auto. If they shut off all imported AKs, in theory, on Tuesday, you would see that $1,000 Walther probably $1,500 by Wednesday, the next day. And then probably 6 months to a year from now, that could become the next $3,000 gun. And
Arsenal's the same way. They're Bulgarian.
Bulgaria.
Yeah, and you could get them a couple years ago for you could get the SFs, which are the ones that everybody wants, for $1,200 to $1,300, and $1,700, $1,800 now, and the Vepers too.
Yeah, I know. What are some of the foreign products I just tried to help you with? If you're into the AK world, I'm into a lot of milsurps and foreign stuff. Maybe a topic for a future video for me. Do you have any suggestions right now for just foreign stuff generally? Should buy?
Zastava before. I mean, they now have Zastava USA. Before they stopped, Century Arms was importing them. Those are really, really good AKs, and even the early Century imports are even used are about as valuable, or if not more valuable.
I own several.
Yeah, those Yugo AKs are awesome, and you can pick them out by the 3 ventilated holes in the handguard very quickly. They also have a safety latch on the dust cover that was for grenade launching stuff, so you wouldn't blow the top cover off. But imported guns in general that don't have a U.S. presence, and I think a lot of these companies have been seeing the writing on the wall. Yeah. Not only with that, but with increase in their importation expenses and taxes and tariffs and stuff like that. That CZ and SIG and Glock and all those foreign companies have U.S. based manufacturing, so an import ban on all that stuff likely won't be affected. But we were talking about this; it's the less expensive stuff. It's the stuff from Turkey.
Right here, this guy right here, perfect. He was reading our mind. Len Hole,
Turkish shotguns, exactly. And then we were talking exactly about that. They are great and they're inexpensive. I have on the wall right over there. I have pretty much everything on that wall is Turkish, and it's all new and it's all affordable. You know, people are paying $500 to $800 for 870s and Mossberg 500s used, and those are brand new, you know, $300. And so people, you know, they're affordable. And this legislation tends to always disenfranchise people on a budget.
It does.
It's really disheartening because you can always get those CZ products and those SIG products, but they have a higher price tag on them, you know?
And that's what really pisses me off, guys. It seems like the people that are struggling the most in life, that the government that gets elected to supposedly help all the poor people always makes it toughest on the poor gun owners. And it always repeats itself. Yep. One more thing I don't want to forget. Your Tula ammo, your Wolf ammo.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I shoot a lot of steel Ks.
There was the what was this? There was a 7 and 6 ammo, but that was mainly the that was the armor piercing thing, the handgun, and
that's what they considered.
Yeah.
Similar to when they tried to ban M855.
Yeah, and Red Army Standard from Romania has been pretty much everywhere, but I don't know how that would be affected.
I don't know. Stay tuned, Nick West.
Yeah.
Wink. Do we have spies in here? Are some of these guys from Indiana up in like the drop ceiling?
I don't know. They're pretty crafty around here.
You guys have a bunch of questions actually that you're asking now. The Polish AK is just coming in. Oh, listen to this, Appalachian. I was telling Chris.
Yeah.
I got the email from Atlantic. Was on my phone within 30 seconds in the cart. 30 seconds later, okay, for the 223 beryllium that just came in. So a minute into it, I hit submit and it said the item's out of stock.
You know who got those? Mishiko.
I tried.
Mishiko.
Mishiko bought off.
Mishiko.
He probably
I don't
does.
know that. I don't know that. I'm not saying he did, but
no, we're saying that because
we're joking. Yeah, we're joking. I've never personally talked to him, but I love his channel, and he's always got everything. And I'm like, dude,
if you guys want to see the beryllium video,
go to his channel.
Go to his channel.
It's a really, really good channel.
He already owns all of them in the whole world.
I'm getting a phone call. Hold on.
Yeah, no problem. Let's see what you guys are talking about here. We're just hanging out in the shop, and someone wanting to buy a gun right now?
Yeah, I'm telling you, they don't stop. It's what time is it? 8:50. It's a good time to buy a gun.
Yeah, it is. Is he serious? I don't even know how this stuff works.
That takes 150 bullets in a full auto. Yeah, that's the phase. That's that plasma rifle we're talking about. That's actually true, and again, because it's not a firearm, it can be a full auto plasma rifle. That's right. It can be.
Yeah, you're right, because it doesn't meet any of the definitions that they have.
All it really does is cook hot dogs anyway.
Oh, okay. So you could kill like insects with it, and
yeah.
What's happening, K-Dog? How you doing? Garage guy, I pronounce Appalachian wrong. I guess it's my Michigan accent.
Appalachian. How do you tell them phonetically that's how I always pronounce it.
Wow, the one from the South, they say Appalachian.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get it, guys. This is where I need the Michigan and Indiana people to come.
We're Midwesterners. We don't say things well.
Set these Southern boys straight.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody was asking earlier, and I'm not going to go back and find it, but they did mention, what do we think of Taurus revolvers?
I like Taurus revolvers. I never really was a fan of their semi-autos. Like, I had problems with the 24/7s and the 709s. I had a horrible experience with their customer service on the 709. And I talked about that in previous videos. But the new ones, the G2s, I really like those. And if I was going to get a Taurus pistol semi-automatic, that's what I would go with. But I like the 85s, the 66. I had a couple 66s in here recently, but the 85s have always been great. And again, they're affordable. Really nice, heavy steel frame, good balance, good weight, good concealed carry revolver for, again, normally $200 to $300, you know? Yeah. So I do recommend them.
Yeah, and I have a couple. I have my model 85, and then I have a model 82. And in the case of the 82, it feels like a very finely crafted firearm. It reminds me a lot of like my Smith Model 10, to be honest. Very nice firearm. Okay, so Appalachian. There we go.
Appalachian. Oh, yeah.
And everything's called Coke, right?
Yep. Or soda pop.
Oh, yeah. LOL, Mishiko. Leave some for us, please.
Yeah, I know, right? I don't know how he does it, but he is but it's more interesting stuff for us to watch. But I do like his channel, but I don't know how he gets everything. He gets a hold of some hard to get stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah. He's really smart.
But he's nice enough, and I have never called him. But if you emailed him or called him, he'd probably hook you up with how to go about finding some of this stuff. I imagine. I'm not putting words in his mouth.
Sure he would.
Yeah, he seems like a pretty cool guy.
Oh, yeah. We have somebody from Croatia. They may have heard us talk about Maybe they heard us talking about those Zastava. I know that's Serbia, obviously, but I have some Croatian. I don't really know much about Airsoft.
Airsoft. I used to play some Airsoft back in the day.
SSG 96. Okay. Big love from Croatia.
Right on.
Well, nice to see you, man.
Hello, Croatia.
And then we were talking earlier
I love
about
your guns. I wish that you could have them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
See, we were talking about Croatia with the HS product, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Otherwise known as a company that some people hate and some people love. So I'll let you guys decide on that. Yeah, Jane Locke, she's my friend here from Michigan. How's it going, Jane? She wants to know what problem you had with the 709.
It was used, and it wasn't so much a problem with the firearm. The firearm did have a problem. I sold the firearm used in my store, and the customer had some issues. I want to say it was either stovepiping or not rechambering. It was some sort of during the firing process it would jam. I can't remember how exactly. This was about 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
The customer was super cool about it, and we do have unused firearms sold as is where is because I do not have a range to test these things out. But he was super understanding about it. Had problems. I tried to help him troubleshoot them just by looking at the firearm under a dry circumstance without actually shooting it. Gave him some recommendations, clean out the firing pin channel, polish the feed ramp, things like that. He came back about a week later, same issue. So I took it out. I had the same problems, couldn't get it fixed. Got in touch with Taurus, got it sent back as part of their free warranty, which they have on all used firearms. It took a whole year to get the thing back. And I mean, I called him all the time. Nobody had any recollection of my order. It was the most frustrating experience I ever had. I refunded the customer, and I think I sold it to him for $150 at the time, a used 709. I refunded him the money entirely, and we ended up getting at the time they had just released the G2C. They sent me a new in the box G2C. I would have rather just have the 709 back like a month later and been done with it, but I did get a new G2C out of it, so I can't fault them for that, but it was just really painful.
And they've been known for terrible customer service for a long time.
And it wasn't even the weight. It was how I was handled on the phone. I'm like, listen, I'm a gun store and I sell and market your products. Like, I like your brand. And it's like, we don't care.
I'm not going to lie and say it's the best, guys, at this point. It still probably has a lot of room for improvement, but they have improved a lot because I just had to get a hold of them recently myself, and I think it's getting better.
I hope so. And keep in mind, that was during they were having a lawsuit going on. And that may have had something to do with it, so I'll be fair about that. It was something on the original Millennium PT-111s.
Yes.
Drop safeties or something. So they had to – class action was filed against them. They had to pay a bunch of money. Right in the middle of that, that's what was happening. That. So that could have had something to do with it. But it did leave a really bad taste in my mouth with them.
I'm not familiar with air rifles at all, so I can't really add to that.
Not either. No.
I will say, though, I'm thinking about getting one of those Glock BB guns that's I guess it's an authentic Glock, product or whatever. It has the same exact weight and feel. I'm thinking about getting a Glock 19 BB gun just to practice with.
And to go back to a previous guy who had a question about training with ammo, again, there's no substitution for live ammo, but airsoft guns and stuff like that, at least you can train a new first-time buyer on trigger control and firearm safety, trigger discipline, getting a good sight picture, transitioning between targets. At least you can do that a little bit with something like an airsoft gun or a dummy firearm. But again, not meant to be a real substitution for the real thing, but something at least in the meantime.
Something fun
to do. Yeah.
Our magazine's a good investment. Yes, no, maybe so. I mean, you could buy an old. I'll tell you one thing. I bought AK Bakelite mags surplus when they were like $15-20 a piece. Now they're worth $100. So sometimes in the milsurp world.
Yeah, but with that, it's so unpredictable about what's going to blow up in value. I think with mags.
Well, if a 10-round band goes through, though, I remember by near the end of the AWB,
they were selling 17-round Glock mags for $150. So that's true.
Say that,
but you're speculating on a legal decision, I guess. But it's just you'd have to weigh how likely you think that is to pass and how much money you want to invest. But that's true of any investment. There's risk either way. So.
Now, if you're talking financial investment, but if you want an investment in peace of mind, that's what I'm suggesting. Maybe you guys do. Get you few mags.
I would recommend more so than the magazines. I always recommend at least 7 mags for the firearm you have, and mainly in a rifle standpoint, maybe 3 to 5 for a handgun if you're going to carry it.
Yeah.
For an investment standpoint, I wouldn't go overboard and buy like 500 magazines. I would personally put my money into firearms because you could have more direct use and benefit out of those. Like even if a gun ban or a mag ban weren't going to happen, you're probably going to want to offload those, but the firearms are something you might actually enjoy and actually get use out of. Something different to add to your collection. It's just my personal opinion.
But for the people that are new, though, maybe not 500, but I say 10. You're saying 7
to 10. That's
range.
Totally. And I recommend that anyway. I mean, even if you're not looking for an investment, 7 to 10 mags per gun, it's just a good thing to have.
And to a point, some mags more than others, they can be semi-disposable. Stuff happens.
Yeah,
Springs wear out, feed lips dent, you know.
Very true. Yeah, very true. Good to have a couple backups, and especially if you can't get any more in the future. Maybe get enough to last you the rest of your life. I don't know how many that would be.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Then we might be in the thousands, right?
Yep.
Okay, somebody was asking about the SD9VE. That's a pretty cool budget gun.
That's actually the first one I started on. I started on the original Sigma that the SD9VE replaced. A lawsuit with Glock, I think, kind of created that to come on the SD9VE, a couple of design changes to get away from that. But the Sigma or the SD9VE actually really, really good gun to start on. The trigger is awful. Wolf makes a spring kit for it, but the trigger is awful. But it's a good firearm. But again, it would stack up really well with like a Taurus G3 because it's about the same price.
Yeah, I agree. Talking to Guero, how's it going, Guero? Shield Plus and Ruger Max. Those are getting a lot of hype right now, aren't they?
Mm-hmm. I'll have a video on the Shield Plus soon.
Okay, good. And then there's the Ruger Max. These are the first guns that are really kind of coming out in the last year.
We had just talked about this. I used to do firearms comparisons on my channel that I haven't done in a while. And he was asking me about these. Like, why aren't you doing those videos? And I said, well, there's been nothing new coming out. In this pandemic, the manufacturers have been struggling just to get their old products out on the shelves, let alone new stuff. So I think we're starting to see that. And again, that's a good sign of things changing and getting better now that the manufacturers are like, okay, we can start putting some time in manufacturing and investment into new products. And we don't have to start trying to keep up with the demand of our existing ones. And that's a good sign.
Cool. Yeah. Dale saying enjoying a live podcast for the first time, watching and cleaning. So
cleaning the arsenal.
Cleaning the arsenal.
Does he mean his entire arsenal, or does he mean his AK arsenal?
There's just some, is it an arsenal? Is
he cleaning his entire arsenal?
Circle 10, or is it just a whole bunch of guns,
I'm going to say he's got an entire arsenal.
Do you know anything about this gun, the PDP?
And I should get a Walther PDP. No.
They're in the gun magazines, but I haven't seen one in real life
I haven't
yet.
either.
Does anyone have one yet? So
everybody's coming out with stuff. That's good. Good.
They're coming out with stuff like crazy.
That means they're internally saying, hey, we have time to come out with new products now. We don't have to struggle to keep up with our old ones, and that's good. That's a good sign.
Yes, I'm glad. Do we have any opinions on the SD9VE or the G3?
Both great guns. What do you think?
Both great guns. I'm going to go with the Taurus, probably because of the trigger, but I do like both. But you can fix up the trigger, like you said, too.
And I always tell customers in my store, get them both in your hand. We can't tell you. We can tell you what we like. Nothing's going to be a substitute for you going and actually putting them in your hand and seeing which one feels better to you, which is more comfortable. If you're going to carry it, ask the store owner if you can just stick it in a holster in the waistband. Most of them should be okay with that. And see which one you like better, because that's going to be the one you're going to be the best with. And that's really the answer to your question. Yes. But at face value, they're both very good handguns.
I agree. And you're saying your English isn't good, but we appreciate you hanging out from across the world. Airsoft, I think, in the USA. So people use it for two reasons. A lot of times younger guys, because they're more athletic, use it as a true war game sport, right? Mm-hmm. And then people use it to train actually for scenarios with real guns too.
Back when I was in college, I was so cool. My roommate and I did World War II airsoft, what do you want to call it, reenacting. And cool. I prefer that over live firearms because I liked the tactical aspect of actually having to hit the target, even though it was with a BB. Yeah. It wasn't like this point, like bang, you're dead. I didn't really like that. So, and they had really cool stuff. So that, I have a bunch of pictures of us dressed up and that type of stuff. I'll try and dig out, but that was, my wife loves those pictures too. She thinks I'm so cool,
So like the forgotten weapons and stuff he does a lot of times, right? With the matches.
Yeah. And it was, they would get crazy. Some, one of those groups, it was in Wisconsin. If you look at World War II Airsoft, I don't even know if they're still there. This was a long time ago. A guy even built from scratch a German half track just because he wanted to have one to play airsoft with. That's how intense they got. Yeah. It was a lot of fun. And, it was like the gun community, you meet great people. that are interested about the history. A lot of you guys who watch my channel know I'm a big World War II buff. And so it was kind of a cool way to relive some of that, never taking away from the reality of what those people went through, but at least to get a taste of what that life was like was interesting and something I enjoyed. It's not something I would do anymore now because I'm much older than I was. And like you said, not nearly as athletic, but it was a great experience. At the time I enjoyed it.
Look at this guy. How's it going, Gray? Man, he's rubbing it in. He scored as a Zastava.
Nice.
From Atlantic within 3 minutes, okay? 2 minutes later, out of stock.
Zastava USA. So here in my gun shop, I've had a couple people get transfers in from Atlantic, and actually handling them, they're pretty cool. I mean, they're nice. They're really nice. You usually get afraid when a foreign company creates a U.S. presence, how much it's going to change the quality, because the employees they haven't been there for a long time doing this sort of thing. But the quality that I've seen is pretty nice.
Yeah, it's pretty good. And I have a couple of the variants, well, quite a few actually, Hugo AKs, Century imports, parts, kits, builds, etc. And they're really nice. I love Hugo firearms, period, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I really do. Someone was asking you how you would carry this. The Colt Trooper 357, how you would conceal carry it.
When it comes to concealed carry, it's like picking out your firearm itself. It all depends on you. So everybody's got different body types. And I've carried around a first generation shield since they came out in about 2012. I've never seen a need to change, but I would go nuts carrying something bigger than that. I carry inside the waistband, and I get asked that question all the time. What's the best way to carry? And well, the best way to carry is what's comfortable for you, because again, everybody's body's built differently. So try inside, not a Colt Trooper. What's the barrel length on it? Probably inside the waistband's not going to work. Outside the waistband and like a pancake holster, shoulder rig, put your jacket over it, shoulder rig. And if there's no good way to conceal it, if you want to conceal carry, I don't know, if you're in a state that allows open carry, you might need a summertime, springtime, smaller handgun like an LCP or a Shield or a Glock 43 or a 365. Yeah. But the Colt Trooper's nice. Those are nice. Really, really nice smooth triggers on those.
I think we both like Smith & Wesson, right?
I like them, yeah.
You just said you've been carrying one.
I've been carrying one of there for a long time. I might have actually been convinced to switch over to the Plus because I honestly cannot feel a difference from the first gen. I have not changed from that firearm for 9 years, and so I might actually change over to a Plus. We'll see. I'm going to review it. I'll look into it.
And I use a Mad Guts in my shield anyways. That I use the one that gives me one extra round and does not extend the base plate. So that's something you guys can try out. If you have the older ones, you don't have money for the Plus, you can get one round without adding any capacity. I've had good luck with that product myself. 2A Renegade. I carry a backup. Depending. Sometimes it's only my backup. Sometimes I carry two. So.
I don't, honestly. There's nothing wrong with it. I just never thought about that.
And it depends where I'm at.
Yeah, that's true. I don't go to dicey areas that often. That's probably why. I'm either here or I'm at home. And when I'm here, I'm carrying a Glock 17, and I've got other guns everywhere. And a bunch of armed people everywhere, too.
Exactly. So here I'm not carrying two guns right now or anything like that, but it depends where I would go, right?
Yeah, true.
Oh, yeah, usually a little bit larger one and then a teeny one in my pocket, to be honest with you. So they're saying the Shield Plus feels like the original. I've never touched one yet. So, yeah, that kind of coincides with what you're saying, right? Kelly Fenney says, I was trying to comment on my box of high-power pistols that my grandfather left me. How do I make these legally mine? Okay, this is a state issue, state to state, right?
What state are you in?
Because Michigan, we do have a handgun registry.
Some states have registries. Let's see. Do I need to register these like when I bought? So she said she did register an SAS P36, but I don't even know if she. So a lot of people will do a 4473 and they'll be like, okay, so this is registered to me? And I say no, because in Indiana, we don't have a registry. Federally, there's no registry. That's a state-by-state issue.
Now, Michigan, we have an additional form called an RI-60, and that's the registry. And also in Michigan.
Is that what you showed me?
Yeah, that's the RI-60. Now, let me tell you guys something else. If you were in Michigan, and keep in mind, Kelly, I'm not a lawyer, but in Michigan, if it's just the serialized frame, you don't register that till it becomes a pistol. Mm-hmm. So if she's saying it's in pieces, well, then
it would depend on
dismantled.
Has she said what state she's in?
Yeah, we don't know for sure right now. And hopefully See, sometimes YouTube only shows us so many of the chats.
Gotcha. Okay.
But I bet you some of the chat will be able to help her either way, hopefully.
If some of you guys know, if you see what state she's in, echo that below. But if you're in a state that does not have a state registry like Indiana, you don't have to register them, and your 365 did not get registered. You were just doing a background check at the gun store. That's all it was.
And now Guerrero, he says, he has his opinion on that. Now, keep in mind, I'm just telling you like what the law requires in Michigan. You guys make your own decisions, right?
Yeah, and let that be your own personal choice, what you want to do. That's absolutely fine.
Exactly. So, and that is what sucks. We're in the United States, one country, but these gun laws, especially with like registrations, just vary so much, don't they?
Yeah, it's different state by state.
Yeah. All right. Do you guys have any more last minute questions? We've been on about an hour already. Can you believe that? It's gone by quick.
Time flies when you're having fun. Yeah, it's been about an hour.
I can hang out for a couple more questions, but I do have to drive for 4 hours, guys. So let's kind of wrap it up here in the next couple minutes. Jane Locke usually carries a backup when she's doing security work.
There you go. That's a good reason to. I mean, you're in a situation where you are literally going to have to put yourself in the way if something were to happen.
Oh, exactly. And she says she carries the Tanya Hardy Memorial Added Knee Cracking Baton, too. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
To sleep in the shop.
Here you go. Hey, I've never done that, but I've come very close. I was right after launching my site that following Tuesday. I was here until midnight.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of you guys have worked more than that, but I got out here at about 9 o'clock that morning. So that was probably the longest day I've had. And I thought about just sleeping on the counter.
Yeah.
Just for the fun of it. I think my store's haunted though, so I didn't.
You don't have a cat or anything here at all, do you?
No, I don't have a cat.
I actually sleep at my shop sometimes when I'm doing snow removal.
Yeah.
I'll purposely stay the night there because the roads are really bad, and thoughts on home builds. It's probably one of the biggest things they're going after right now, if you want my opinion. They're really talking about, they call it ghost guns. The
thing is 3D printing. If that becomes a thing, that's going to be really hard to control.
Yep.
Of course, they can try and ban it, but that would be really hard to control. And they probably will try to.
I think ingenuity and just people being smart, they'll figure out what to do. But I think as far as stuff getting attacked, that's one of the biggest things at this moment right now.
And ingenuity is a great point. Some of the best designs have come out of the necessity to circumvent whether it's a law or an inability to get a certain material. People typically adapt and find a way. And that's what's awesome about a free market.
Exactly. I think the market will take care of things. You guys will make all your own personal decisions, understanding that we are on YouTube in a public forum, guys. So we have to make recommendations based on.
Thanks, Tintin.
That based on basically not only Susan Wiki's algorithm, but all the other things. But you guys know what you need to do, I'm sure. Yeah, thank you. So it looks like the guys had fun tonight. I mean, there's almost 400 people watching right now on a Saturday.
Nice. Thank you guys for stopping in. This is fun. Like I said, I'm going to go home and edit, and I'll upload that tomorrow. So you guys will see the weekly used gun review video, and it'll be a good one.
Cool. So it'll be live next week sometime? Or?
No, it'll probably be up tomorrow.
Oh, literally tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to go home and edit it and just, put it up. I always put those up on Sundays.
Okay, yeah. Okay, cool. I didn't know if it was this Sundays or if it was the next week.
No, it'll be tomorrow.
Guys, don't razz me too much. You can razz me.
He did a great job. He did a great job.
He's a little bit better at the weekly review.
No.
This is so cool, guys. To be watching someone's channel from home all these years, and you're like, that dude seems cool as hell. He's so smart. He's got a cool shop. So this has been a fun evening for me.
Same. It's been a lot of fun. And thanks for allowing me in this guy's chat tonight.
Yeah, you guys
I haven't read
awesome.
The comments, so if there's some mean ones, I'll cry about it later when I read them.
Wow, there's always one or two, but I don't think they really mean it, So
yeah,
tons of people giving us really nice comments here, thanking us, and
right on, man.
I one more time, guys. This is obviously Marksman TV. Make sure you go to his channel because you're gonna really like it. I'm sure you will. And all of his viewers that are maybe my viewers now, thanks, guys. And it's nice to meet a bunch of new friends. I really appreciate hanging out with you guys, and this is just awesome reading all these guys one after another saying how much they really had a good time tonight.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys. Yeah.
Oh, I got to go drive home now. All right. Do you see anything at the last minute? Or?
I can't. My eyes are bad. I can't read what they're saying.
Actually, they're all just saying rock on, great show, great
Cool.
time, love
Right
you
on.
guys. So
Right on. Thank you.
we're gonna get out of here.
Okay.
All right, thanks for watching. Have a good one.
See you guys tomorrow.
See you tomorrow over on his channel.
Yep.